So I'm going to tell you about 3 things that are affecting so many people today that are totally unnecessary. And if they just take out these 3 things from their lives, then they will actually improve their lives for the better. It's torturing teens, youth, and young adults. So the other day I was sitting around in a public setting, and somebody was getting really excited about an energy drink because they were super excited that the energy drink was going to make them feel better. And actually their words were, "It's going to make my brain work faster." The net gain on an energy drink is going to be a loss in the long term. Short-term gain, short-term benefit, short-term spike, long-term down and depressed, anxious, and irritable, usually down the line. Because most of them are just packed and loaded with sugar and caffeine and all these extra items and ingredients loaded into this sugary beverage that's totally unnecessary for your body. Biologically, you're not designed for it. Keep it away. And while their experience and their description of what they think is happening might be true to a degree, it's actually false in the long term. Yes, it might make them have a small burst of energy, but it's actually very unsustainable long term. And while the person saying that may think that that makes sense for them, to where the energy drink gives them a little bit of energy, yes, but in the long term, it's detrimental for their mental health, detrimental for their actual biology, for their gut health, for their mental well-being, because it ends up just leading to depression and anxiety down the road. Because you go on a roller coaster through a cascade of blood sugar imbalances, hormone imbalances. We don't need that. You don't need that. I don't need that. Okay, first one, affecting adults. I'm going to go talk about adults and then kids and teens. Okay, so adults first. Adults suck at asking for help. Why do you need to ask for help as an adult? Because you're still a human being and we can't all do it alone. If you imagine a school classroom and a teacher is teaching and a student doesn't understand what's going on, or they need a little bit of extra help with their homework or their classwork, do they ask a question for help? Do they ask for help to get ahead? Do they ask for help to get growth in their life? To actually achieve, to actually have the strength and stability and understanding of the communal aspects of what's going on in the classroom, or how they can grow to achieve what they need to for their learning and education? Yes. Asking for help at critical stages in our lives is vitally important, and we have to do it at every stage of our lives, throughout every stage of our lives. If you get older, you have to ask your kids and grandkids to help you. Whenever you're young, you have to ask your father and mother and parents and guardians and your grandparents for help, and your aunts and uncles as well. So that was the first one, affecting adults, because adults suck at asking for help because they think that they have to do it all by themselves, and they don't, because they work in a community, and humans were meant to work in a community, and they simply cannot do it all by themselves. Okay, the second one is affecting teens and youth. I'll say that because it's also young people like 30 and below as well that are not very interested in the whole health and well-being thing. So energy drinks. I have a huge problem with energy drinks, and I'll say it right now. You can hate me if you want to, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is no purpose for an energy drink in someone's life if they're not a professional athlete, an MMA fighter, or trying to tackle an emergency. Okay, like a firefighter perhaps that needs to run into a blazing fire that's miles away or something. I don't know. But for most of us, especially teens and young adults and youth and people that are, below the age of 150, we don't need them because it leads to a detriment in the long term. It's a net negative, not a net positive. Yes, in the short term, there might be a short-term benefit. You might have a little boost of energy and you might feel good for a little bit, but what comes later? Crash of mental health, crash of blood sugar, crash of hormones. And it totally dysregulates sleep, it dysregulates strength, stability, and maintenance of the brain health, of our brain health, of your brain health, of my brain health. Now, I was sitting in a public setting the other day and somebody said, "Ooh, they're getting all excited about these energy drinks." And I'm just sitting there thinking in my head like, okay, yes, energy drinks are fun and interesting. And they were discussing with one of their colleagues or their friends. And they said, "It makes my brain go faster." And I just started to laugh because I understand what they're talking about. I understand what they might mean, but it's totally off the mark of what really happens in the long term. Because in the long term, it leads to depression, anxiety, irritability, instability, and mental resilience is just shredded. We become more fragile. The fragility of our mental health is totally disrupted whenever we give ourselves something like an energy drink. And it's torturing. It's torturing teens, youth, and young adults. Absolutely. There is no question in my mind that it has a negative, and it's torturing their mental health, their emotional stability, and couple that with all the other things that are affecting teens and youth and young adults today. It's a plan for disaster. I'll just say that. Okay. So we talked about adults. They don't ask for help, but they need to. We talked about teens, youth, and young adults where they drink energy drinks because they think that's going to give them an instant gratification for a temporary high of a feeling of an experience, but it's a crashing low down the road and can lead to what I believe to be addictive behaviors and addictive tendencies, addictive dependencies to all kinds of other substances. Okay, next. Adults, teens, and kids. Kids, we kind of talked about kids in school for a moment, but I'll say this. The lack of education on natural biology, natural systems of humanity, natural systems of what makes humans thrive, I think that's a huge issue in our times where so many people just don't know the natural state of human health, the natural states of human biology, how things work and how things thrive and how things can exist but might not be thriving. Like if you see a plant, for instance, in your garden or that's hanging nearby that's wilting, you would think there's something going on. That maybe we need to either water it, give it more sunshine, give it more love. Then we need to adjust something for it to thrive, right? Because if we see a wilting plant or we see a plant that's slightly dying, we're like, oh no, we need to save the plant. Okay, same thing. Us as people, as humans, we are all plants. We are all different kinds of plants and different kinds of gardens, and we all have different states of thriving and abundance and flourishing, right? Okay, but if no one is going to call out the wilting plant to say, hey, there's something wrong there, can we help that plant? If no one calls that out in the human population, then what happens? We all end up wilted. We all end up isolated, depressed, and sad and anxious, and never willing to speak up to help the other person because, well, if that's a wilting plant, and maybe we don't know that it's wilting, or we don't understand that it's wilting, or no one speaks up about the fact that they are wilting and we just don't know it, then no one ever gets help. And you have to ask for help, right? We know that you have to ask for help to get help to achieve the goals that you want to reach in your life, as well as actually take steps forward at any stage in our lives. Even just for healthy maintenance, like a stable maintenance, like here, just give me my little pocket of support that I need. You're still going to ask for help every once in a while, right? Whenever you go to the grocery store, you ask the grocers to help you by curating groceries on a shelf within reach for you to put in your cart. Then you're asking for help by the cashier to help ring out your groceries as you drive in your car, who you've asked for help from the company to build you a car to drive you from one. You get the point. Okay. You have to ask for help. And then again, with the teens, you have to understand what's actually better for you in the long term. And whenever you give kids the chance to have something for instant gratification and immediate benefit, they don't have the chance to look in the long term. They don't have the chance to project into their futures and to say, is that going to benefit me in the long term? Or to even have the self-awareness to feel that experience. Now, granted, if you talk to people from other countries or you have interact with families and kids and young adults where they grew up in a house without soda or soft drinks or without artificial flavors or colorings, a lot of them will say, man, that tastes like petroleum, or that tastes like oil, and it's because they're actually byproducts of petroleum, FYI. It doesn't need to be in their diet, it doesn't need to be in their life. It has no net positive. So if you make decisions on a daily basis of, will this benefit me or will this hurt me? Will this help me or will this hurt me? Will this help others or will this hurt others? I would say energy drinks have no place in human biologically aligned diets. Okay. And then with kids and education, not everybody knows, so it's okay to have open dialogue about these things. It's okay to make sure that we understand these principles of human health and biology without feeling shame, guilt, condemnation, or pressure to change our behaviors and habits, but recognize that we can always learn and take a step ahead to improve our lives. Because while I see teachers and parents glorifying candy and sweeteners and energy drinks online, I understand that's where they're at in their life. I understand that they may not be there later, and I understand that they may not have come from normalizing those things. But what I would like to do is to normalize health in all regards, in all stages of life, for all concepts that are human health focused and biologically aligned to what we are designed for as a human species and our humanity as a whole community together. Because we don't thrive just by ourselves. We cannot thrive just by ourselves. So we have to talk about these things and discuss these things and interact with these things on a regular basis with other people in open dialogue. And to realize that we still have to come to the table with love and admiration and care and respect for one another, and then meet each other halfway in the middle. And if you do that enough times and you're able to just have mutual love and respect for one another, you usually can find a compromise or a middle ground, and then come to a place of safe closure on that topic, but with the open mind for progression or change. Because it's okay to change your mind. I know in my career, through my education, I've changed my mind lots of times. Changed my mind from whenever I was a kid in high school, doing a research paper about school lunches, to the time whenever I was an adult in college, learning about school lunches, to the time that I was working in schools, working through school lunches in my education, and then as an adult in my internship, and then elsewhere. So I've seen the timeline of it, and your opinions can change throughout. And I only walked in one set of shoes in that experience as well. There's so many other shoes to walk through to have that perspective. It's an analogy. You walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to make sure you follow the analogy I was thinking about in my head. All right, those three things: teens, youth, young adults, and kids. Kids, they need the education with open dialogue to discuss things. Teens and young adults and youth, no need for energy drinks. Leads to mental health problems down the road. Just stay away. Support yourself. Honor yourself. Love yourself. You are sacred. You are holy. You are beautiful. And we need to respect that. Adults, ask for help. If you're willing to ask for help, you will get the help you need, but also be willing to surrender and let go of all the control that we were told that we needed to hold on to for us to survive in this life, which is false, because we survive possibly, but we might be wilting, and we thrive whenever we work and interact with other people and tear down the barriers that keep us away from conquering things together and the relationships that we hold together. All right, bye. You didn't know, I have a snack here. That's a carrot, and it has a string, actually. But fourth thing, bonus tip, if you're still here watching, we need real food. We need real food in our lives, like a giant carrot like this, or maybe some broccoli. Everybody likes broccoli. Okay, I'm done. Have a great day. Have a wonderful life. Have a beautiful life. Have a stable life. Have a healthy life. Probably already said that. All right, bye. Us as people, as humans, we are all plants.